Hello, it's Deborah from Attic Lane, and today I'm here with a brand new Tonic Craft kit. This is number 20, so let's decant the box and I'll show you what we have. I'm going to start with the dies, which are in this folder, and this folder usefully will fit into this very thick binder. This is really sturdy, and this is provided with every 3 kits, so you can keep your folders neatly in your binder. And of course, if you want to be artistic, you can add some detail on the side of that so you know exactly what is stored in there. We're going to start with these dies. Now, there is a large die and everything else is sort of built around this large die. These smaller dies will fit into here. So for example, you could use them to cut a little panel, a little design from each of these spaces within the large die, and this will work up into a 3-dimensional piece. So I'm going to reserve this one and we will come on to that in more detail as we go through the makes. I've die cut these from black card and put them onto white card so that it's easier for you to see. And I also want to make a little note on these that there is an outside edge, so this outside edge will fit with all of these rectangular dies, and that's how I managed to get them to be individual units, if you like. But if you don't use that, then you will have the shape from the die embedded in card, so it won't be cut out, it'll be embedded in card, and I really like that effect. I think that's terrific. It's also worth pointing out that with the dragonfly you can actually have that 3 ways, because there's an outline die and an inner die, so this is how you can get these different effects and you could layer those up. There's a ladybird, and that's how the ladybird pops out. And also I've got a piece of card which is larger than these, and it is taken from the large die set. So this die here, this rectangular die here, is very useful if you want to do any matting and layering, because you could cut out your shape, you could cut out the larger die, and you could layer them up like that. But as I said, we will come on to that larger die a little bit later on. The stamps work well with everything else too. There's a dragonfly which can be cut out using the die, and there's the ladybird there, and then there's some other elements as well. And all of these complement the concept of this, which is Woodland Walk. The cardstock in this month's kit is really lovely. There's a piece of mirror card here, and I'm trying to prevent you being blinded too much under the lights. And there's a shiny card here, but it's more of a matte shine than a mirror shine. And then there's lots of textures and embossed papers, and this one is just glorious. This is like tree bark, really beautiful. To go with these pieces of cardstock, there is also a 6x6 pattern pad. There are 24 sheets in this. It's called Woodland Walk, and these are double-sided, and I will flick through these so you can see the variety of papers in there. And of course it all coordinates really beautifully with the cardstock. There are lots of really exciting extras in this month's kit. I'm going to take this one out and show you first. This is some jute twine. This is 25 metres long, so you get a considerable amount on one roll. And then there are champagne shine sequins, and I hope you can see just how shimmery and shiny they are. They're going to be great for shaker cards. They're always brilliant for that sort of thing. And then there is a mica mist. Now this colour is called Wild Olive. I'm just going to prime it. When you're shaking these up, anything that has mica in it, don't do the bottle backwards and forwards like that, because there's a risk that the mica will trap in the nozzle and prevent the spray coming out properly. So just shake it like that, or knock it against your fingers, but shake it so that the mica comes up from the bottom. I'm going to spray this off camera. I'm just going to spray it over my bin so I don't make a big mess. I hope you can see the shimmer. It's a beautiful colour, and it's a really lovely effect. It's almost got gold going through it as well. Absolutely beautiful colour. Then there are 2 bottles of drops. The large bottle is crystal drops, and these are called caramel latte. The little bottle are also crystal drops, and these are called Dirty Bronze. Let me show you how they look. These are really great for adding to your projects. They give lovely dimension. They create a really nice smooth dome. That is the small bottle, which is the Dirty Bronze. This is the Caramel Latte. That Dirty Bronze is beautiful. It's got a hint of, well, bronze to it. And then the softer, paler Caramel Latte. Hope you can see those under the lights. The bronze is beautiful. And finally, this is a new product. This is called Shimmer Powder. This is very exciting. I'm going to get another piece of card. I'm going to cut this card in half because I want to show you two ways that you can apply these. I've got some clear water in a spray bottle, and let me show you the first way. The first way is you spray a piece of paper or card, you get the shimmer powder and you drop it on to the water, and you will see it react with the water and spread out. So that's one way that you can apply it. The other way is you drop it onto dry card or paper stock and then you spritz it. And you get that lovely shimmer expanding out. I'm going to add some more water on here just so you can see it reacting. I've got a piece of card that I dried off earlier because I wanted you to be able to see how it looked when it was dry. And I think that is absolutely magical and in beautiful colours. This shimmer powder is called Falling Leaves. Now we're going to make some cards and maybe something else. For my first card, I'm working on my craft mat because things are going to get messy, and I've got a side folding card that I've cut down ready, and I've also cut a frame from one of the beautiful textured pieces of cardstock, and because it's so lovely I've cut away the centre as well so that I've got another piece that I'm going to save and use for another project. So my frame will fit onto my card, and then I've also cut down a piece of watercolour card. This is nice thick cardstock and that will stick down on there. I'm going to prepare my watercolour card by putting a piece of repositionable tape over it as well, just across the bottom because I want to leave that space blank. I've got some clear water in a bottle and I'm going to spritz my paper very lightly, and then I'm going to add some of the shimmer powder, and I'm going to drop it on from quite a height. I want to do this lightly. I don't want to get big blobs of intense colour anywhere. I think that'll do. And if I think it needs another spritz to disperse that, I'll just spray it again from quite high up. That's looking very pretty. A little bit more up here. Lovely. This is lovely stuff. I'm quite looking forward to seeing what other colours of this are going to become available, because what I love is the way you have the green and the blue and a yellow and a shimmer, and it just looks so spring-like. It's gorgeous. I'm going to dry this off with my heat gun. That's all dried off now, so I can remove it from my craft mat, and I'm going to take away the paper or the repositionable tape. So you can see I've got a beautiful clear space down here. I've got some black ink, and I've also got one of the stamps from the kit, the word that says love, and I'm going to stamp this in the bottom right corner of my card. To finish my card design, I want to show you some ways that you can use the really beautiful dragonfly die. Let me just get you some samples and show you. So we have a range of these, and these have been cut from plain black card. These have been cut from black card that has been spritzed with that beautiful mica spray. So I've sprayed black card, I've let it dry, and then I've die cut the dragonflies from it. And these dragonflies have been die cut from card like this, but which has had more intense shimmer powder added to it. And you have a range of ways that you can use the shimmer powder and the mica spray in order to get a really beautiful effect. So I'm going to spend a moment or two playing with these and deciding what layout I like. I've glued my frame down onto my side folding card, and now I'm going to add the top piece, and I'm going to use a Nouveau tape runner that was included in last month's kit. I think it was last month's kit. And this will give me really good high tack with an instant glue, so I don't have to sit and hold it. But I do have to get it on the card straight. When you don't use a liquid glue, you don't have any wiggle room. I think that's just about right. And that's our first card complete. I just want to take a moment to talk about where to find inspiration, because I get asked that. And when I have a kit like this, the answer is I get my inspiration from the kit. So when I'm looking at putting a card together and what elements will work together, I'll often put bits of paper next to each other and check them out with the little drops and just see how everything in the kit works together. This I thought I would show you because it's a good illustration of what I mean. So these colours are all coordinated to work together, but it's still up to you how you use them. And looking at this, the wood grain and the natural fibres of the twine that's included in the kit, and then those beautiful colours that go with it, and one of my gorgeous little dragonflies, they all work together really nicely. So this is going to be my palette for my next card. I've assembled all of the elements for my card, and I've introduced a new colour as well. This is a piece of cardstock from the kit. That will be my first layer on a white side folding card. Then I will have my woodland or tree bark effect cardstock, and I've created a little tag. I've just cut this by hand from the same colour of card that is going to form my base, and I've stamped and white heat embossed the word love using the love stamp from the kit, and I popped a little hole in the top. So this is how the card is going to be assembled. This was the white embossing powder that I used to do the love on the card. I want to add dimension to this because this twine is quite thick. So rather than tie this around my card and around the back of my card and then create bulk in the centre of my card, what I'm going to do is use a piece of craft foam. I use this an awful lot. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know just how much I use it. And I've cut a piece down that is going to go on the reverse of this piece of paper. Now I'm going to, around about a third of the way down, I'm going to cut a gap, and that gap is where my twine will feed through, and it means that when the card is assembled there won't be an additional lump where the twine is, because it will be contained, I hope you can see, it will be contained between these two pieces of craft foam. The craft foam itself is maybe 2 to 3 millimeters thick. So I'm going to assemble this and then I'm going to come back and show you how it looks. I've glued down my craft foam on the reverse of my tree bark style card, and now I've run my twine in between the gap of the foam, and I'm just going to hold that in place with some double-sided tape to make sure that when I turn this piece of card over, the twine won't fall out. The double-sided tape will also obviously help with adhesion to the bottom layer. I'm going to turn it over. This should be the bottom, and it is. And I'm going to position that on my base card, and hopefully I'll get it centred. I think that looks about right. I can pull that a little bit tighter then. So there's no extra bulk being added to this dimension here. The next thing I want to do is I want to add my tag. So I'll pop it through, pop the twine through the hole. I'm not going to pull the twine too tightly because it will lift up this edge. So I think probably there will do. And I'll tie a bow. And because I have it handy, I'm going to take another piece of double-sided tape and I'm going to pop it on the reverse of my tag. I'm going to glue on my dragonfly. And this is one of the dragonflies that I cut from black card that was sprayed with the Mica Mist spray from the kit. I'll stick that in place, and the last thing I want to add is, well, I have some choices. I could add either of these dots, or I could add some of my sequins. And I think I'm going to add some of my sequins. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to add little dots of glue randomly on the card, and then I'll just drop the sequins on top of the glue dots. The sequins really make it shine. That's our card finished. I'm starting with a white side folding card and I want to add colour to the side. So I've got a Distress Oxide ink here called Gathered Twigs, and this is the closest colour match for the colours that I'm going to be adding to this card. So I'm going to go down just the two outside edges and make sure that they have got a nice bit of colour on them. And I don't need to add too much. All I want to do is take away the white. I've cut a piece of Miri card, which I won't dazzle you with because you can see it's difficult under the lights, and I've also cut a piece of paper from the paper pack, and these are going to sit on the card slightly off centre like this, and I'm going to die cut using 3 of the die cuts that came within the kit, and I'm going to be cutting just from the paper stock. That's my die cut piece of paper, and when I add the Miri card beneath it, you get a really lovely effect from underneath. I'm going to glue these layers onto my base card. I'm also going to add a little strip of Miri card which will go down the side, and I'll show you that when I've completed it. My card is all layered up, and I'm going to add a finishing touch of some crystal drops to the bottom of this little panel. I think this card looks as if it could be a useful masculine card. The edging looks like a rather suede effect. And when those little drops are dry, our card is complete. I have a piece of plain white top folding card, and I've cut a piece of the deeply textured golden coloured paper, and I'm going to glue this on so that it completely covers the card base, and then I'm going to add this layer onto the top of that. My card base is prepared, and I've cut out a number of tiny little hearts using the heart die from the kit, and I've cut them from the most heavily textured papers, so the tree bark effect and the sort of waffle effect. I thought die cutting these might squash the embossing, but that hasn't happened at all. The embossing has stayed really nicely raised, so I'm going to use these to create a pattern on my card. I've got my layout in place, and I'm going to glue these into position with some Nouveau glue. The little hearts are all glued down now. Because they've got hanging holes, you could of course make these look as if they were suspended from a length of the twine, maybe running across your card. I've decided to do them like this because I want to show you another way that you could use your Nouveau drops, and this way makes it look as if you've actually popped a little paper fastener, one of those little brads, through the top hole. And all you need to do is add a drop of the Nouveau drops into the hole, and it will look like a paper fastener. I hope you can see the finished effect there. Our card is finished. I promised that I would come back to this large die and show you how to use it, and this will make a beautiful gift box. So to begin with, we cut out 2 pieces, and if you get your cardstock from your kit and you cut it in half, you can put it through a standard Big Shop Sizzix and it will be wide enough to cut out 2 of these, and then you can cut out these segments using the tiny dies. I'm going to show you. So these will fit in here. So you can cut out a shape, and you could cut out a different shape for each of these 6 segments because there are 6 different dies that will do that job for you. So I'm going to cut out some of these and then we'll progress to the next stage. That's my 2 dies with the extra little bits of detail cut out, and I've cut it out in such a way that it will be every second one that has this element to it. The other thing that you can do if you want to add a little bit more bling to this is you can take one of the other shimmer cards from the kit and you could add the outer die and then your choice of the inner die and run that through your die cutter, and that will give you these. And I can match these now to the elements that I've already cut out. I've got that wrong, it's that way. And I can glue those into position before I begin to assemble the rest of the gift box. When you're adding your glue, don't add it in complete lines, add it in little dots, and that way there's less risk of splodge when you attach the piece to it. Once you've done all the decoration and ornamentation and die cutting that you want to do on this piece, the next stage is to fold in all of those little creases. And if you have a bone folder, that's a good idea to use because it will help get a really crisp fold line. With these little creases here, they don't want a dramatic fold, they just want a crease. They just want to be encouraged to crease on that line. But they're not going to be stuck in that position. All I'm doing is just making sure that the card will fold in the right direction and giving it a little pinch like that. And with these pieces, I'm just going to add the crease in. I'm going to use a glue line tape runner on here rather than liquid glue, and I was going to use my Nuvo tape runner that was I think in the previous kit, but I've actually used it all up, so I would have used that, but I'm using another one that still has some tape in it. And the easiest way to make sure that you line this up properly is to look at it from underneath, and you will see what I mean. And that way it's easier for me to see and line up the crease at the bottom with the base. And then just hold it for a moment to make sure that the tape has properly grabbed it. Let's do this one. These are the pieces that will help you stick the whole box together. So there's a little flap here and then 2 little side flaps here, and then you have the same on this piece. So then I'm going to add tape runner to the little flaps on this side and the little flaps on this side, and I'm going to squeeze those together to make sure that they join. My sides are attached, and now I want to glue the base together. I've discovered it's better to glue the sides together first and then go back to the base, because all you need to do with the base is just seal it in on 2 or 3 sides and that will hold it into position. Now obviously I can't get my tape runner in there, so I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue. and that will hold it perfectly. So our gift box is coming together. You can see the way that these shapes all go in the way, and so do these where you have that nice fancy little top, so they fold in the way as well. Again, I'm going to use my liquid glue to seal my tabs together. So that is how that piece there gets joined. I'll just give it a moment. And then this side will make the whole thing look a whole lot more finished. I want to show you a little trick for getting these parts here quite sharply defined, and it's to use your bone folder again. So here we go, here's a wee bit, it's got a little bit squint. So if I put the bone folder in, it gives me something to create the shape against. And I can pinch it and then I get a much better defined shape. And it means that when I pull the top of this together to finish making the gift box, these pieces will have lovely definition. To complete this, I have a piece of twine. I'm going to show you this from the top. So I'm going to take my twine and I'm going to tie it around just this part here, and if I pull it gently, it will pull the top piece together and it will create the closure for my gift box, and then I can tie a little bow. And there we go, beautiful little gift box. It's worth persevering with this to get this lovely result, and to show you that it doesn't always go according to plan. This was my first attempt. I made it using some waste cardboard because I wanted to understand which way the creases went, and it's worth doing something like this so that you don't spoil your lovely card. But as you can see, it's worth it. If at first you don't succeed, the second time you probably will. Thank you very much for watching, and until we meet again, take care.